You're listening to AchtungMillwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to AchtungMillwall 601 Part 2. This is a continuation on from yesterday's live in-game thoughts, stream of consciousness and post-match reaction. I had a huge amount of voicemail sent to me, which I really appreciate. Do keep them coming, dear listeners. You can send them to me via Twitter now with the direct messages. Just press the bottom right-hand corner of a direct message, little squiggle, audio squiggle. Press that, hold it, and speak. It's always great to get your post-match thoughts, especially in the aftermath of such a debacle of a performance. Really, it's been a poor week at the Den. But I wanted to include everyone who sent me stuff yesterday. I ran out of energy, in all truth, when I was editing the show that we have put out from yesterday. Got to about 9 o'clock and I just had enough of it. So I thought I'd do a second show today as a second half of the coverage from yesterday's match. So we're going to cut now over to the remainder of the voicemails. Big thank you once again to everybody who's included it. Next week shows Norwich on Sunday, and then the following week we've got Stoke at home. I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to get out for you listeners because I'm away next week, but I'll do my best to get something out. It depends on the internet situation. We're going down to the West Country for a week with the family, so I'll get what I can out next week. But for now, let's switch over to the voicemails from yesterday's debacle, home debacle. Thank you for listening. Arrivederci Millwall, and bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.
Matt Webb here, messaging you the morning after the game before this time. I felt the day itself was very emotional. I don't think there was many dry eyes in the house, and after watching that montage on the big screen, I'll admit I don't think I had a dry eye myself. On the footballing side, let's go back to that. Fair play, well done to the club. It was absolutely incredible. The tribute to JB, absolutely incredible, and respect as well goes to Bristol for honouring that as well. And yeah, it was just the day itself was lovely. We could just put it like that. However, there's always one blip on any day it happens, and that was the 11 players on the pitch. If anyone is surprised by that sort of Millwall performance, they haven't been coming to Millwall long enough. It's the same old with Millwall. You know, big occasions or big crowds. Recently, we just have not risen about it. We have not turned up. I mean, yes, the last time we probably had a big crowd and we actually turned up for it was, well, you could go back as far as the Leicester game in the Cup, but that was under a different regime. And this is not a row out again, sort of rant, but there's been several occasions now we've had a packed den out and the club has just the team have not turned up for it. We set up for ourselves not to lose yesterday. That was the formation. It was an unchanged team from Borough, which, okay, fair enough. You want to give the players that had the opportunity of getting a result at Borough to express themselves again. But Borough away versus Bristol City at home are two different entities. Borough away, you are set up, and most teams in that league will set up to not to lose, not to concede and defend and play on the counter. And that's what we did, and we got a result. We were at home against Bristol City. We were set up again, not to concede, to play on the counter. For Christ's sake, people, we were at home. We should not have had that formation, you know. And unfortunately, yes, there's that classic saying of never change a winning team. That was designed to be changed. And I think the responsibility lies with Gary Rowett on this occasion. You know, I looked at that first half, and it was more like a 5-4-1, or even if you're lucky, a 5-3-1-1. It's not a formation for a home game. That's not a formation for a nearly 19,000 gate Millwall fans cheering us on. That's a formation to not to concede. Christ, Bristol City, they had nothing up front. They had one shot on target in the whole game, and lo and behold, they scored from it. They didn't pose a threat, but we made them want them to be threatening. So it was a bit annoying. There were some individual players that stood out for the wrong reasons. I thought well, back line, is there a cohesion problem? Is there a trust issue? Or is it pure and simply, as most people have said, and I've said along, just age or being found out by opposition? I don't think the goalkeeper trusts the back three at the moment. You can see that a mile off. I certainly don't trust the goalkeeper's kicking, and I thought that's what definitely George Long was in there for. But his kicking's no better than Bart's, that's for certain. And Bart was getting slaughtered about it. I didn't slag him off because he's still a new boy. I wouldn't slag him off either, to be fair. But his kicking ain't as good as Bart's, that's for certain. Danny Mack was going down well that wing in the first half, and in the second half, just his control just let him down constantly, and I think the fans on the side of the dugout let him know about it as well. That's why I think he got hacked off in the 91st minute, which, well, to be fair, that was a bit of a pointless substitution. Other players, I felt sorry for Nisbet on his. He was literally a lone striker in the first half, trying to feed off scraps, so he probably didn't get any service whatsoever. And nothing surprises me with this club. Nothing surprises me. Standout for me was Casper De Norre. I thought he was energetic, really wanted that ball in that middle, and I was very surprised when Gary took him off. Absolutely, I was actually gobsmacked actually to see him come off. But he was my best player on that pitch yesterday. But Michael Avery did say this during the week: don't panic. You're right. There's 44 more games to go. There's no need to panic just yet. However, looking ahead, looking at the next 3 games, 3 games, because we'll have an international break after that. Norwich away, well, they sort of like turning the screw a little bit with a 4-4 against Southampton away. Stoke at home, Stoke have improved. And Birmingham away, who have just got a result against Leeds, who probably will be a challenge. It is a tough league. And I think I did say this, we're in a period of transition. Mid-table is probably where we're going to be. I still think we need to invest. Absolutely. I think we need a new right wing back just to cover, just to double up. And we need a ball playing centre half. I know, can we find that ball playing centre half? Have we got our ball playing centre half and we just haven't played him yet? That's another question. But it was the same old Millwall yesterday. Nothing surprised me. I didn't come away angry. Didn't come away shocked. I just shrugged my shoulders, went, it is what it is. But we still go. So I'll see you all at Norwich. 2,000 of us going up there. So let's start again. It's a fresh week. Okay. Now, have a good week, everyone. And come on, you Lions.
Hello, Nick. Bill Slack. I suppose the first thing to say is well done to Millwall for the tribute to John Berylson before the game. Lovely to see his family there and give us the opportunity to show them what we thought of the man. It's a shame Gary Rowett weren't on the same page with the selection and the tactics at home. Yet again, I really struggled with a fella. I could probably play 3 or 4 voice notes that I sent you last season saying exactly the same thing. It does not give us the best opportunity, or it doesn't give them players the best opportunity to win games. 5 at the back, so 3 centre halves, 2 wing backs. So when we're defending, we've got 5 across the back, and when we're attacking, we've got 2 wing backs. Your issue with that is Danny Mack cannot play football in the opponent's half. That fella cannot cross a tee. And I've no idea why. I don't know if it's in his head or he's just not good enough. I do not understand. He was dreadful today. And I know he's real wall and he's one of our own and everything else. He's becoming a liability. In that system, he is a liability. I don't know that there's many that could doubt that now. Your other issue with a back three is Murray Wallace. He had a poor season last season. He started off exactly the same way. Now you're playing a system at home. You know, we spent all that money on Nisbet. I think all of us, to a man, are excited by the fella. Looks like a natural goal scorer. Give him the chances and he's going to score. He had a single chance today. Not a single chance. Our best effort was from a free kick outside the box. And I don't know what Rowett is thinking. I don't know how he's been at this club this long and doesn't understand the emotion today, the full house, and the power that brings to a Millwall team. The motivation, the energy. He just had his team basically sit back. Plus the fact we can't pass the ball, we can't control the ball, we can't keep the ball. I don't know, mate. It's baffling, isn't it? It's just absolutely baffling. Doing my best not to write players off this year every week, but McNamara cannot play in that system, and Murray shouldn't be playing. You know, I'd go to a back four and I'd play Leonard at right back at this point. What an abject experience that was. Absolutely appalling, and it is entirely down to Gary Rowett. It is entirely down to him and his tactics. We established last year that back five don't work, and where are we? We're a new season playing a fucking back five at home and getting beat. Brilliant. Cheers, mate.
Hi Nick, Lion J 1971, just calling in from the Canaries after watching that shit show today. No real positive points apart from thought Casper Denore showed again that he's been going to be a really good signing. Just disappointing after the pre-match, which gotta say, Mill will do it like no one else really. It brought a tear to the eye watching that tribute video, and then the crowd are up for it, and then you could tell after a few minutes the team weren't going to perform, so the crowd goes flat. Stayed like that for most of the game really. I'm not going to slag Rowett off because it's an obvious target this time to do that. We know what he's about, and we know that he's Mr. Defensive, and it looked today as if he didn't want to lose that game. A lot of players had off days, and to give Esse and the Irish Mbappe just 10 minutes was just not enough for us really. So look, we'll go again next week. We're never going to go unbeaten through the season, so let's get the first defeat out of the way and let's try and get back on track at Norwich, a ground where we always do well, don't we? Not. Anyway, up the Lions. Cheers.
Coming away from the den now, Michael Avery here, and what an afternoon, to say the least. Let's get the good things out of the way. So the tribute to John Berylson was fantastic. Well done by the club. Good video on the big screen, and it was good to obviously get the old faces, the Kenny Jackets, the Alan Dunns, Neil Harris's, etc. to be Steve Morrison's, to be part of that tribute with some of the players of today. So really well done. Wonderful for the families to be on the pitch and to get the cheers for Mr. Berylson and the minutes of applause. Thought the club was absolutely superb with that. Mill will do very, very well with things like this. Remembering from last season with the death of the Queen and the coronation of the King. These types of things, these type of occasions of remembrance, that kind of stuff, you know, they're really, really good. So well done to Mill Football Club there. And also as well on behalf of the Supporters Club, it was brilliant meeting everyone today. And all those who bought the badges, bought commemorative programmes and other bits and pieces. It was just nice to have football back, nice to meet everyone. So thank you to everyone who's bought a badge and donated to the Legacy Fund. And Yeah, let's hope we have a good season. Back to today's game. I can't understand the tactics. I can't understand what the team's trying to do. Normally when you pack out midfield, whether you play a 3-5-3-2 or a 3-5-2 or that kind of combination of sort of two holding midfielders, which we was playing with a number 10 just behind, you want to pack out the midfield to disrupt play and to stop the opposition obviously coming at you, but also to build up the play yourself from the back. And I don't see the point of having such a packed midfield if you're just going to keep bypassing it all the time. And also as well, I'm trying to work out again what the actual plan is when we give Bradshaw's and the Nesbitts the ball, because I even vividly remember when there was a quiet moment in the game, the ball was played long up to Tom Bradshaw, and while it's in the air, while he's jumping, just as about to hit his head, I heard someone shout, "Hold!" How can he hold it? He's had to jump 2 foot in the air to get it. He's got a player behind him, and you're asking him to not even chest the ball down. There's nothing there, and I thought Brian did okay today, but McNamara today, for me, there's still question marks on him because some of the basic stuff was struggling. The crosses weren't finding their mark. And let's be honest, I think he needs competition for his place. His competition for his place can't be a Ryan Leonard, who's a centre midfielder by trade, who's injured some of the time through the season. That's no disrespect to Ryan Leonard, but we need to have proper competition for Danny McNamara because the way he's playing at the moment, there's question marks again, but we know what player he can be. Let's try and hope that player comes back. I thought Casper De Norre in the centre midfield had a really, really good game. Personally, I thought he did break things down well and was involved. But again, he was really breaking the things down, wasn't overly involved in much build-up from what I recall. I mean, if he was, it shows how ineffective the build-up play was from Millwall because I don't remember much of it. We have one real shot on target from a free kick that's on the edge of the, a yard outside the penalty area. How the keeper's not being better tested, I don't know. And I think as well, to give Millwall fans credit, they were cheering the big crunching tackles by the Murray Wallaces, the Jake Coopers and the Sean Hutchinsons. But, crikey, we shouldn't have been in the situations we were finding ourselves in. I mean, I remember at one point, Hutch badly loses control of a ball. And if Cooper didn't do that last gasp rescue save, it's 1-0 earlier in the game to Bristol City. And there was a lot of that today. There was a lot of desperation tackles I felt from the back where, yes, they came off, but we should never be in those situations. The fans weren't happy. But with a silver lining to a grey cloud, we've played 2, won 1, lost 1. And we've only conceded 1 goal. Let's just hope this is a blip where the occasion got to some of the players and we dust ourselves down and learn from it, because if we don't, it's going to be a long season. But there's enough good players there. Let's hope. Come on, you Lions.
Hello, Nick. Hello, listeners. Ben Anthony here. Calling after what's been a very tough week at the Den. So first things first, obviously, yesterday was a very emotional day for everyone involved with Millwall Football Club. Sort of saying our farewell and paying our respects to John Berylson and his family. And I thought the club did a superb job in marking that occasion. And I think a lot of credit should go to the club for what they did yesterday. I think it was absolutely brilliantly done. And then it was up to the players to turn up and put a shift in for John's memory, and to get a result for us. And they were about as far away from that as they could possibly be. I thought they were absolutely rubbish. There was very, very little in attack at all. At one point, the Bristol City goalkeeper had a little lie down and did some yoga. And that's the level of threat that we posed. We were useless. And then, of course, the sucker punch, which was
Our sort of leaky defence right at the end, loss of concentration, and conceding to a set piece goal, and that was that. Yeah, so it's been a very tough week. That's 5 goals I've seen us concede at the Den this week, and yeah, left yesterday feeling frustrated and fed up. So yeah, I can't wait to go to bloody Norwich next week. But there you go. Let's hope for some improvement. I've got to feel like at home there needs to be a bit more emphasis on our attacking football. We've got such great forward players, and half of them are sitting on the bench. I don't see how that's going to change anything. I don't see how we're going to get results if some of our best players are sitting on the bench. So, yeah, you got to think that there needs to be some sort of rethink, particularly at home. Away from home, I can understand being a bit more conservative and then trying to catch a goal on the counter, that kind of thing. But I feel like we shouldn't be doing that at home. So, yeah, let's hope for better going forward. It's still early days, and obviously it's a poor result, but we got the win last week, and we go on. So yeah, come on, you Lions.
Hello Nick, Vinny Block 2. Just thought I'd drop a voice note with my thoughts on today. Firstly, the Ying of Millwall, the tribute to JB I thought was superb. We do those types of things really well, and hopefully his family appreciated it. The Yang, it's just the football. It was one of the worst games I can remember seeing, and I've seen a lot of bad Millwall games. We just looked completely devoid of any ideas. I'm not one of these people who knows all about formations. What I do know is playing 5 at the back at home against a team who are equally as poor as us just makes us look really bad. We just looked like we had no idea going forward. I don't think I've seen a Millwall team make so many mistakes as I did today. I know that Danny Mack's going to get pelters, but people need to remember he's probably been brought up as a right back in a 4-4-2, and we're asking him to be a wing back. Joe Bryan looked okay today, and he's someone who probably played in that position for many, many years. So will Danny Mack learn from him? I don't know, but he just looks like he's lost all confidence. And you could see that in the second half when he let 2 really easy passes sort of go through his legs or over his legs out for a throw. The one person I was really disappointed today was Fleming. When he's off, Millwall off, and he looked more like a £12 player than a £12 million player. If Lazio or Burnley were watching today, they'd just be thanking their lucky stars they didn't spend all that money on him. Just poor from start to finish. I've got nothing else to say. Hopefully it's just one of those days, but if we play like that at home, we are going to get turned over massively by a lot of the very good teams that are in our division. On to Norwich, I suppose. My man of the match, there can only be one person, and that's the 1 Millwall supporter in the North Upper who went across and tried to take on the whole of the Bristol City support in the second half. Fair play to him. Come you Lions.
Hi Nick, Hassan here, long time listener, first time leaving a voice note. Today's game, what can you say? If it was a theatre production, I'd call it Why Gary Why. He's this five at the back with wing backs. He's going to live and die by that system, isn't he? He's gone back to it, and it just doesn't work, especially at home. Away from home, yeah, you don't mind it. You're going to be on the back foot. You're looking to counter, but to set up like an away team at home against teams in your league, it's just not on, if you ask me. Players look like they don't like it. Fleming, Watmore. 2 players with a lot of creativity, just the game passing by. Nisbet, again, we spent £3 million on a striker and put him in a system where he doesn't have any chances on goal. Nothing gets played to him. He was lost. I'm not saying he had a bad game. He huffed and puffed, but, that's just not on. You spend all that money on a striker, playing a system which is going to allow him shots on goal. The only positive today, Joe Bryan looked good. Dinor was fantastic. He was one man of the match, to be honest with you. The way he controlled the midfield. He's got great vision, and he's always looking up to see who's making runs forward. Something which, to be honest with you, Billy Mitchell, I love him dearly, but he can learn a lot from that. he needs to improve that in his game. Danny Mack, poor thing, he had a difficult afternoon. Every time the ball come to him for good opportunities, just kept scuffing it. And there was a moment in the second, well, a couple of times, I think it was in the first half, maybe the second half, Dinor sprayed the ball to him. You can tell he's come from a high level. High level players, when they pass the ball, it's always with power or with pace at least, so he gets to the player quicker, and Danny just couldn't control it. So hopefully he can learn from that and move on. But again, it's just this 5 at the back business at home is just not on. Home form has been appalling recently. I saw a stat earlier on, and I think it's something like 3 or 4 wins from like 10 games at home from carrying from last season. It's terrible. So yeah, a lot to improve on, and on to the next one. Cheers.
Hello Nick, it's Barnsley here, first time caller. A very emotional day today. We were, looking to, do JB proud today, but, the start of it was amazing, lovely send off and blah blah blah, but, it was up to the team to perform today, and it just didn't happen, did it? It was just lacklustre. The crowd. There was nothing to get the crowd excited about. It was just, after the great result of Middlesbrough, we just didn't kick on. It was just so frustrating. We didn't have a shot till the 90th minute, and and then they had that free kick or a corner, or whatever, and they, bang goal. It's so frustrating. It really is. But the substitutions were too late for me. They should have brought the 2 guys on that changed the game at Borough a lot earlier. But we haven't got a plan B. Bring an horrible striker in, someone just to mix it up a bit, because we're still pumping balls to Bradshaw and, Nisbet went off, but we haven't got anyone to get on to knockdowns and things like that. It's so frustrating. It really is, because, defensively, I think we were right. I think Hutch had a good game, Cooper had a good... Danny Mack I thought he was brilliant in the first half, really good. Brian's classy. But the problem is we're playing wing-back. Danny McNamara is a great defender, but he can't cross. He's a cracking defender. But, for a guy to play a wing-back, you've got to be able to cross the ball in. And we're just not getting the feed into the strikers who feed off those balls in the box. Midfield, decent. We just don't create anything. And it's so frustrating after that great result at Borough. And, the substitutions are going on again, too late. We need to show more. We need to show a bit more quality on the ball. There's just none of that splitting, defences, because the balls are being pumped up there, and poor Nisbet spent most of the time looking the ball over his head. Teams of the past is go at teams, go at them. Get the crowd involved. There was none of that today, and it's frustrating. It really is, because no team likes to come down to our place. Make it a fortress. Make it hard for them. Really go at teams in the first minute of the game. It's so lacklustre. To have a shot in the 90th minute, that's not good enough. I don't want to be too beat about it, because, we've got a great little team, we've got a great support, but we need some quality, and we ain't got that. Anyway, mate, all the best, good luck to you, and keep up the good work, mate. Take care, bye.
Hi Nick, David Liederkramer here. Sunday morning, so I'm not sure if it's too late for your podcast. Very disappointed, like everybody, with yesterday's performance. Typical Millwall, big occasion, very large crowd, and the team don't really turn up. In fact, it's quite difficult to think of positives. Obviously, I think Casper de Norre is a very good player, and I think that's something that hopefully we can see more of during the course of the season. Fleming looks as if he's just not interested at the moment, which is incredibly disappointing. Possibly once the transfer window closes and he gets his head round what he should be doing, we might see more from him, assuming we haven't sold him. Although on yesterday's performance, I don't think too many of us would have been very disappointed if Vincent Kompany had been there to get his checkbook out and take him off our hands. Apart from that, it's just one defeat. I thought Bristol City looked okay, but nothing particularly special. A draw would have probably been the fair result, but we can't have too many complaints about the last-minute loss, given that they had the majority of the play. Rowett doesn't seem to understand that he's got to get the crowd up for the game, and playing 5 at the back with, unfortunately, Danny Mack not really being able to cross the ball properly is just never going to do that. Lack of energy, and it was just not really a game where the crowd got involved as they should have done. Anyway, onwards and upwards. Next game, Norwich, of course, where we haven't won for about 50 years or whatever it is, and I'm not particularly confident about that, but in true Millwall style, we probably will get something out of it. Okay, come on, you Lions.
Achtung, Millwall.